Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Oh gosh, man, how pumped I am to be with you guys here today on Orange Bloods Live, back again for a Monday. I guess a victory Monday if you're a Kansas City +2 better. Man, what a game yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that. We also have the theme of the show. What a nice new thumbnail by our new creative guy Tyler, man. So we have thumbnails back. We're back. We might not have Blake, but we have thumbnails. We also have you guys in the chat. Good to see you guys so far. We got Sam in there. We got Money B. I'm sure you guys will be dribbling in through the course of the rest of the show. But the main topic I wanted to talk about today was, we talked about what the biggest strength of the Texas Longhorns roster was coming into the 2024 season last Friday with Cody Carpentier. I thought today we could look at what the biggest concerns might be. I'm going to write up an article about this for Orange Bloods, and I figure I always come here and kind of talk this stuff out and, see what comes out of the interaction with the chat and what comes out of my brain as I'm looking over this stuff. So not exactly sure where this is going to go, but certainly concerns on the team, things that we could, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. If there's a position group, a particular player, a situation, just the fact of, I don't know, so like going to the SEC, is that the biggest concern? We can go a lot of different ways with it. Also, just some cockamamie business on the, imagine this. Chad, somebody's acting cockamamie on Orange Bloods. It's like, gosh, it's like that meme, with that like that dad age guy, and he's in front of the computer, and it says he's looking back to his wife, and it says hold on, honey, someone's wrong on the internet. It's just there's just some stuff on Orange Bloods about some position switches that are, I guess, reporting to be set to be happening along the offensive line. I don't believe them. I think they're cockamamie. We're going to get to that. And then, one other thing too, just on and this is something that we can maybe start with that I found a little bit interesting, because it has to do with the long-term issue that could be what's happening with the interior defensive line at Texas. And that's this thing from, I guess, who is this? Gorney? Was this from Adam Gorney? So Ketch posted this on the boards today about the 2025, the 2025 commit Brandon Brown, the defensive tackle out of Palm Bay, Florida, from O'Galley. O'Galley, is that how it's pronounced? O'Galley, Palm Bay, committed back in December to Texas, listed at 6'1", 285. Got some really good film. He's listed as a defensive tackle, defensive end. Certainly, though, if you look at Brandon Brown, profiles as more of a defensive tackle. To my eyes, I think just a really good 3 technique, some good explosive power, some good burst. And gosh, I'm just looking at the huddle right now. Maybe I should just share this. Maybe I should just share this huddle with you guys. We can just get a look at him. Let's see if I can do that. Look at me, dude, Alex the producer. Alex the producer. Are you kidding? Here's the sophomore highlight stuff from Brandon Brown, and you can see. He's done some stuff where it's like edge right here, like on the tackle. But gosh, man, that explosive burst, that punch, and the ability to get to the quarterback there. There's kind of a 3 tech. Gosh, man. Yeah, dude, I think he's got to play 3 technique for sure. Here he is.
Hang on, Alex. Let's get it up on the screen with you. Hang on one second.
Oh, sorry. Is it not on the screen?
There you are, right there.
Got it?
I think.
Okay, I'm seeing it. Chat, are you seeing this thing?
Now you're good.
Okay. So basically, you can see the stuff that I'm talking about. Coil through the hips, good explosive burst into the line of scrimmage, gets off of guys, can get to the quarterback. Good player, but I think he looks more sort of like a 3 technique than a defensive end for sure. So it does go into what we're talking about as far as the viability of what Texas has in the pipe as it moves forward with the interior defensive line, because it's going to be a concern, right, in 2024. So a little bit more concerning news. I'm sorry to come with all this concerning stuff today, but the quote from Gorney was, so basically this was his rundown. The Melbourne, Florida O'Galley, four-star defensive tackle, has been committed to Texas since mid-December, but he hasn't visited Austin yet. And position coach Bo Davis left for LSU. The Longhorns still want him, but the chatter after a recent visit to USC while he was in town for Pylon Los Angeles was that he wanted to flip to the Trojans, but his mom made him hold off a while. So Get said, let's just go ahead and put it out there that he's a very, very soft commit. I mean, something that we definitely need to follow for sure. He's a huge piece of what's starting to come together for that 2025 class, man. But this is gonna be one where it's like, dude, through this whole process, some of these guys are easy. Like, do you remember how Colin Simmons, how easy he made it right after he committed? And, Cash and Jason were like, man, they're going to have to ward off suitors every step of the way. And, all through Thanksgiving, they're going to be sweating this thing out and stuff like that. But it turned out that wasn't the case. There was no drama at all from Colin Simmons. And that was only for committed for 7 months, something like this. This is a dude who they're going to have to, he wanted to flip to USC, but his mom wouldn't let him, and we got another year, another year of this stuff. So we'll see what happens with that, but we'll continue to follow it. The other thing was, like I said, honey, someone's wrong on the internet. It was this okay. So this thread on Orange Bloods, right? And the thread was something about the left guard position has to be upgraded in the SEC. Okay. And then it says, this is by Respect My Freshness, who is a poster on Orange Bloods. All right. So he says, who is your starter? One guy I wouldn't sleep on is Chapman. And he lists, all right, Hayden Connor, of course, last year's starter. Neto. So Neto, Yamuzalo, Cole Hudson, Jaden Chapman, Connor Stroh, Andre Kojo. All right. And he says, let the best man win. And he says he's expecting a big year for Gooseby and stuff like that. Another year in the strength and conditioning program. First off, Gooseby's a pure tackle prospect, so he shouldn't even be in this conversation. I guess he's not talking about him in that kind of role. But to me, as you get down this thread, and I was kind of looking at what people were saying, interested in hearing, well, do they think there should be a change at left guard? And admittedly, so if I look at the deep dig from last year, and I'll just pull up the offensive line grades by week and look at Hayden Connor, his average in 2023 as far as his average grade in the deep dig was a 76.39. His median was a 76.62. He had games as high as he got a 79.03 versus U of H, which was his best game. But he had another game versus Kansas where he had scored a 78.21. These are all grades that, while they aren't showing like draftable status, that's more like when you get to 80, 81, where it's like, all right, you can maybe be a drafted and maybe even be up to like a day 2 pick kind of guy, right? It wasn't quite that good, but that's if every player played in the same to the same level that Hayden Connor played versus Texas Tech, versus Iowa State, versus Kansas State, versus U of H, versus Kansas, and versus Wyoming, that offensive line would have kicked butt all year long if they all just played as well as Hayden Connor, even though that would be bringing down the level of like a Kelvin Banks. It would have been bringing down a level of Christian Jones at his best, right? It would have even brought down Cam Williams in the 2 games where he got enough starts to get a deep dig grade, say the Texas Tech game, the Kansas State game, stuff like that. It would have brought down DJ Campbell from the baseline that we got to see out of him over gradable games in every game this season. So I think that's saying something. And I do think that whenever people look at Hayden Connor, they see, rightly so, that among starters last year, he was, as far as the grades, I don't want to say he played the worst, but he was the lowest graded player in the deep dig over the course of the whole season. And I think what that has to do with is the snaps per disruption stuff. When you look at it, last year, Hayden Connor allowed 18 run stuffs. He played 788 snaps. He allowed 18 run stuffs and 1 TFL. That was where he really gave up all of his, everything that happened due to Hayden Conner at left guard last year that was detrimental to what the offense was doing, it was on run stuffs and it was on TFLs. And between those two, he allowed that to happen 19 times. Whereas if you look at the sacks, the quarterback hits, the quarterback pressures, all that stuff, we're looking at what, 2 sacks allowed by Hayden Conner last year, 4 quarterback hits, and 2 separate pressures. It's not really that bad. I mean, like take DJ Campbell, for example. He played 100 less snaps last year than Hayden Conner, and he allowed 3.5 sacks, 3 hits, and 2 pressures, right? But dude, stuffs plus TFLs, the line disruption that occurred in the run game with Hayden Conner playing at left guard, 19 of them. Kelvin Banks, if you take that same thing, was at 9. DJ Campbell, if you take those same 2, was at 4. Christian Jones, if you take those same 2, again, run stuffs allowed plus TFLs allowed, was at 7. Jake Majors, if you take those 2 categories and put them together, he was at 12. Cole Hudson on 118 snaps last year was at 2. Cam Williams on 111 snaps last year was at 1. Connor Robertson on 109 snaps last year was at 2. Hayden Conner, again, was at 19. And so I know what people talk about when they say that Hayden Conner needs to get stronger, play stronger, be stronger at the point of attack. If you were watching this show during the season, you know exactly my take on this. And that's it. I think Hayden Conner was hurt in his lower body on the left half of his body because every single time it was mostly on outside zone where they have to take that real big, broad zone step, right, to the left. Try and get their body across like this. And I guarantee, dude, what other defensive coordinators just said was they said, take that dude, fire into him, attack him in his left shoulder, his play side shoulder, whenever they're going that way, and just get penetration upfield through his play side shoulder in the zone game. And thankfully, Texas had a running back for a lot of the season at Jonathan Brooks, who was fine just creating on it. Like with Jay Brooks, even though the play was busted, the zone one was busted as soon as that upfield penetration through the left guard's play side shoulder did occur, right? From the guy from the guy there at the 3 technique, there was aligned perfectly to make that move anyway, right? Brooks was just so good at creating on his own. He had such good natural vision. It was something to see, right? But there were times wherever it's like, well, and it happened more often with Baxter than it did with Brooks, but there were times where it just kind of got blown up and the run lanes didn't develop. And next thing you know, you can't expect a guy to create on his own every single time. 19 times. It's a lot. But man, it's just with Hayden Conner, I don't think that it has to do with I don't think he just I can't make myself think that he just got bad. He wasn't that bad. Like, let's just look at 2022 and let's see how many run stuffs that he allowed last year. And this could make me look dumb doing it on the fly. Again, man, I'm just here doing this with you guys, just kind of going through stuff in my head as I'm getting ready to kind of chronicle this in a written form. But if we look at last year, the snaps per disruption allowed. So last year, Hayden Conner run stuffs plus TFLs total. So we talked it was 19 this year on 788 snaps. Hayden Conner in 2022, he allowed disruption on the whole once every 34.6 snaps. Okay, he allowed disruption on the whole once every 34.6 snaps. Good. That's really good. If the whole team did that, the Texas would have an offensive line that you look at and you say, oh my God, look at how they're rolling. As far as the stuffs plus the TFLs allowed and the run stuff, it's not a stat that you're going to see other people. It's a stat that I made up. And what it is, it's just whenever an offensive lineman allows a defensive lineman or a linebacker, anybody that's trying to fit up the line of scrimmage where he screws it up on a man gap assignment or on a zone assignment to where the running back has to divert from the natural flow of the play, the natural cutback lane, the natural gap, seam, crease, whatever it is, right? Whenever he's like, oh, okay, I can't do that. My offensive lineman hasn't got his job done. He's getting pushed back. He's like, whatever. They have to early cutback, things like that. Well, that guy just allowed to run stuff. He allowed that run to be stuffed. He allowed that to happen last year 5 run stuffs and 2.5 TFLs, 7.5 times compared to 19 this last year. I don't think that just happens, especially with another year of development under Flood, especially with the fact that Hayden Connor's so smart. I don't think he got weak. That just these guys don't they don't work under Torrey Becton and Kyle Flood and just get weak. You know what I'm saying? They don't get weak all of a sudden. They don't get bad. And whenever we compare the rest of it, and what's up to Money B here in the chat, man? Good to see you, brother. Cody Carpentier, Harish, my guy. So good to see you guys. Golly, man. I think it used to be Blake that just got the chat up and going in here. I go to the deep dig to look at this. Man, I don't think that we can just look at Connor and say what these dudes are saying. It's and what the report is that they're going to move. People are taking this as gospel. I guess there's a report on another site, something that I haven't heard, something I think stupid and cockamamie, that Hayden Connor's getting moved to right tackle, and they're going to let Nato Yamuzulo and Cole Hudson fight it out for the left guard spot. And to me, the bottom line is, for one, no, Cam Williams is going to play right tackle. Right, you get he's been waiting for this. You've been grooming him for this. Whenever he's able to play guard in the spring, he was terrific. He's always looked terrific. He's got arms like a pterodactyl. He's impossible to get by. He's impossible to convert speed to power. He can move so well in all directions. It's, when you just think of him, you just look at him, you go, gosh, look at what a monster he is. Look at all that beef. It's like walking into Texas Beef Traders. Have you gone to Texas Beef Traders yet? Texas Beef Traders, right there in the heart of Lakeway, right off of Loman's Crossing. Look, if I don't know what else I can say about this. I was driving by yesterday the farmers market, the Pedernales farmers market, and thinking to myself, man, I love the farmers market, but man, the beef there is so expensive, And it's so expensive because it comes to you from a local ranch. You know where you're getting it. You're not getting this cockamamie beef from HEB or, Kroger or Safeway or wherever it is that you buy your stuff, where it might not even come from the USA. And for sure it's got all kinds of, it's shot up with vaccinations, inoculations. The herd's been commingled with all kinds of other herds. Is it black Angus beef? Does it even come from America? All it needs to be is processed here in the USA for him to say that this is American meat. This is clean meat, grass-fed. They can tell you they can tell you it's grass finished. They can tell you all this stuff like this that is, you don't know that it's all non-GMO feed. You don't know that there's bovine nutritionists there on staff. You don't know the care that they take with processing these things. And the craziest thing to me about Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com, where you can get 10% off right now, TexasBeefTraders.com, is that it's cheaper than HEB. It's like, it's not as I don't understand how anybody would ever buy their beef at the store when they can go to Texas Beef Traders. They can go in there, have a beer with Darren. He'll tell you all about it. Go have a beer with Shay. Shay will definitely tell you all. That guy won't quit talking about the processes that these beefs go through. They got everything up there that you could possibly need. Seasonings, wines, beers, whatever it is, man. Texas Beef Traders, and get 10% off. Use that Orange Bloods promo code OBFWF10. Texas Beef Traders, right there in Lakeway. And listen, if you can't make it out to Lakeway, just call them up. They'll just bring it to you. Okay, Texas Beef Traders. All right, so Cam Williams. Let's see. Cam Williams is an absolute beast, and to move Hayden Connor over there, to me, doesn't make sense. Yes, Hayden Connor is the one guy on this offensive line who can play virtually any position. I get that. He's got a lot of positional versatility. But to me, if you're moving Hayden Connor to right tackle, and these reports end up being true, which they rarely do, I believe a report when it comes from Anwar. But if these reports end up being true, they're moving him over there to prescript him to sort of enlist him into a kind of situation that Cole Hudson finds himself in, that was with DJ Campbell this year, right? Through, kind of no fault to Cole Hudson's own. He gets a little bit hurt, gets kind of banged up. DJ Campbell has kind of been the better prospect the whole time, but at the beginning didn't have all of the hype, right, that a DJ Campbell had coming in. Cole Hudson just didn't. But DJ Campbell kind of started out a little bit slow here at Texas. Cole Hudson didn't. He got the playbook quicker. He understood his assignments quicker. And next thing you know, he's starting as a freshman. While DJ Campbell he's having to wait till the end of the year to kind of work in there at the right guard, right? Then the next season, Hudson's kind of banged up at the beginning of spring and stuff like that. DJ Campbell takes the job, doesn't really look back, right? Cole Hudson's banged up through the course of the year. To me, Cam Williams and DJ Campbell come in with similar sorts of pedigrees. They're guys that are inevitable. You're not going to keep them off. And so, man, moving Hayden Conner over there would be a tough deal for Hayden Conner because this could be a tough guy for him to go against. So I don't think that that's what they're going to do to him. And here's the other thing, guys. If you look at last year, Nato Yamuzulo played 47 snaps and he allowed 4 run stuffs and he had 1 penalty. He allowed disruption once every 9.4 snaps. It wasn't very good in the spring game either. And can he get better? Of course. Of course he can get better. But last year, Hayden Conner, was he like he was in 2022 when I know he wasn't hurt, right? Like he was just healthy through the year. We didn't have any questions about him. Allowed disruption once every 34.6 snaps. You look at what Hayden Conner did this year, allowing disruption once every 25.42 snaps. So not as good, right? He definitely had a fall off. I think that there has to be something that accounts for that fall off. And at left guard, if you're going to be moving somebody in there like Nato, who allowed disruption 3 times more often, it's like, is that really solving the problem? Is it really solving the problem to put Cole Hudson over there? Cole Hudson last season in 2022, when he played a significant amount of snaps, 705 of them, allowed disruption once every 17.41 snaps. And he allowed 12.5 run stuffs and 2.5 TFLs. So he was like the run stuff king that year, right? It's like if you're trying to get rid of these run stuffs, look at Hayden Conner from the time whenever he was actually where something wasn't bugging him, right? And I don't know exactly what it was this year. It just had to be something. There's no other way to explain it. It wasn't like the players around him changed. It wasn't like Kelvin Banks got any worse at helping him with his 3-hand technique stuff. Jake Majors sure didn't. Jake Majors was better this year. So to me, it's breaching, and you're grasping, and it's disappointing, and it's a concern, right? Like some of these concerns that I have about the Texas Longhorns for the 2024 season. All right, so we have some. Let's see. Cody saying he needs some more ribeyes. John, Kevin Ellison, how are you, brother? What it do, Alex? So good to see you. Cody Carpentier, good to see you. Cody says he had to buy a couple of Kroger's beef ribeyes yesterday. It doesn't compare to homegrown. No, it doesn't. But Cody, we know that you love your ribeyes. Can't wait to get some ribeyes in Indy. Oh, by the way, what a pain in the butt it was today, getting our combine credentials applied for. Man, old Jason Sukamel is I'm having to deal with the fact that he changed his email address and it's messing up the whole NFL communications portal on our behalf. But we will get it done. Money B says hit that like button for sure. Thank you, Money B. If you guys could hit the like button, hit subscribe, it certainly helps us out a ton. And we're happy to see all you guys, man, and hope that you can hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Cotton, how are you, brother? Michael, my business. So good to see you, my friend. Okay, let's talk about some of these concerns. And I will say that one thing that you'll never have to be concerned about is if you're selling a home in DFW, because you just call Val Garcia. Look at Val Garcia. Val and Realty. Val Garcia is going to sell your house for 0 fee if you work in education or you work in the ministries. Val Garcia, gosh, he's one of us. Look at Val. You can call him at 469-647-8729, valandrealty.com. The top 25% realtor in all of DFW. And he's one of us. Just an awesome dude. Takes the time to get to know you. He's going to market your house. He's going to get that thing set up. He's going to get it staged. He's going to make sure you get the open house all set, whether you're in Allen, Texas, or you're in Arlington, Texas, or you're in Frisco, anywhere in DFW. If you listen to this show, even if you don't work in education and you don't work in the ministries, where he'll do it for no cost to you. He'll do it for half price. We're talking saving you $10K. I mean, that might not be life-changing money. It's dang near life-changing money for me, for that man. Look at that smiley face, man. Val Garcia hands you a cashier's check for $10K. But it's gonna be year-changing money, right? It's gonna be enough money to put down the down payment on that. side by side you want, or that new truck, or maybe pay off some credit card bills. I mean, can you imagine what you could do with 10K? And all you got to do is work with one of the best realtors in all, like my favorite realtor in all of Dallas. He's an awesome dude, Val Garcia, Valen Realty, valenrealty.com. Give him a call, 469-647-8729. We all love Val Garcia. Gosh, I love Val Garcia. Oh, of course, of course he's in Colleyville. Text Wise Guy says Colleyville for sure, man. He's got. I think I don't know Dallas all too well. Thank you, Chad, for getting the Football with Friends logo back up there in the Specs chat line. Thanks so much again to our friends at Specs for always sponsoring and taking such good care of us. Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, world class service that's all about you. Okay, so quarterback we know is not a concern. Okay, we talked about it on the show Friday that offensive line is probably the strength of the team, right? And that had to do with Cam Williams, who I guess is getting his job taken by Hayden Connor in the most disastrous blow-up scenario that I can imagine. With that said, I'm not gonna be the one that says what Kyle Flood has up his sleeve is not all knowing as far as these Longhorns. If he were to do that, I would question it, but I would say, look, listen to him and don't listen to me. He's got a plan. It's fine. I just think that it would be I can understand how somebody might say it's, look, we need to have a little bit of a change from last year, but blowing it up in that way, right? Where it's the right tackle spot with Cam coming in that is now being backfilled at left guard by two guys like Neto and Cole Hudson. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. That wouldn't be the way that you would do. That's not how I guess it's not the deck chairs on the Titanic because that insinuates that the ship's going down. You guys know what I'm saying. It isn't the way that I would organize things. So that's a big strength. Quarterback's a big strength, man. Quinn Ewers is plus 750 to win a Heisman this year. He's a co-leader with Carson Beck. We've talked about it. Arch Manning says he wants to start. I mean, behind the scenes, he's acting like he's going to start. That's a good quarterback situation. You're in a good spot, especially if you're not worried about these, like, legit good spot. Especially if you're not worried about one of these dudes transferring out or something like that. It's about as good as you can imagine. It's not a weakness. It's hard to find an offensive weakness. Tight end will be, it'll be fine. The whole Amari Niblack thing coming in, that'll be helpful. For a fact, he's probably not going to be worse as far as a stock blocker than JT Sanders was. Is he going to be as big a beast as he was as far as a receiving tight end? Maybe. I kind of doubt it, but you'll probably pick up some help there from maybe getting Gunnar Helm more involved in the stock blocking stuff, where he's a lot better player. So, not a lot better player, lot better blocker than JT Sanders was, especially when JT Sanders was banged up last year. I don't need to tell you guys. You have to go back and watch it to see that Sanders, his blocking blew up a lot of plays last season. Even with A.D. Mitchell getting all the trouble for his blocking and stuff, he got better through the year. Sanders really didn't. The offensive line, the wide receivers, would it have been an issue before all the portal madness? Yeah, but it's not. You bring in Silas Bolden, you bring in Matthew Golden, you bring in Isaiah Bond, you have Jonte Cook coming back. All of a sudden now we have questions in the chat about who's the number one slot guy, and you're just like, well, it's hard to. I mean, it's probably Isaiah Bond, but you still got DeAndre Moore. You still got, you have Ryan Niblett. You have all these guys. So you can't say that that's just a major concern. I think it's hard to say running backs are a major concern with what we've seen out of, it's just hard to say it, man. Baxter was highly recruited. Sark loves him. Jaden Blue looked awesome at points last season. You bring in like Christian Clark, all these Jarrett Gibson, all these dudes. These are high-level athletes. These are skilled guys. Who's to say one of those guys doesn't come in and look like? I mean, would you be surprised if Jarrett Gibson comes in, or I don't know, one of these freshmen and just looks like almost better than any of them? It wouldn't be completely out of the question at all. So I don't think you can say that it would be a concern. Was it a major concern after Brooks went down last season? And the answer to that is no. Now we turn to the defensive side of the ball, and man, I was having a conversation with somebody today about what they think about the interior defensive line coming into next year. And clearly it's going to be a big concern because whenever I look at, so there's a historical snaps per disruption allowed sheet that kind of hit this home for me. yesterday when I was looking at it, and then a little bit today, and I'll share it. I think I'm sharing this thing. Am I not? Am I sharing it? Stop sharing. Chad, can you make sure that I'm sharing that? I think it's being okay. So now I'm going to make this bigger. So here we go. So if you look at the snaps per disruption allowed, this goes back to 2015. So the guys you're losing here at the very top, Tavondre Sweat's gone, Byron Murphy's gone, right? Those two dudes are gone right in the middle of the defense. To show you how many players they're better than, look how far down I'm scrolling. I'm down to like guy like 34. Now we're down in like the 60s. Now this is everybody who's played at least 100 snaps on defense since 2015. We're still scrolling and we're down to like 112, 131, 147, 160, all the way down here to Kobe Boyce, who won 271 snaps back in 2019, did not generate any production. But it's, you can tell. I mean, we're way, way, way high up here. If we were to make this a tiny little deal where you could just kind of see how long it is, it's like a long cat, right? And you lose these two dudes right at the very top. Okay. So obviously you're concerned about how you fill those roles. It makes it a little bit more worrisome that when you got to scroll down a good ways to find these guys that are highlighted in black that represent players from 2023. You got to keep. I'm scrolling. I'm trying to find one. Any of these guys? No. There, Alfred Collins is the first one you see down here in 96th place out of a total that I've done since 2015 of 165. Your best one is in 96th place in snaps per production caused, right? You got to go down even further to get to like the Vernon Broughtons of the world and stuff. You got to get to here, 137 out of 165. Trill Carter is gone, right? But those are the only two that are coming back that have any experience at all. Really, you have Sadir Mitchell coming back. You have Aaron Bryant coming back. You have the freshman guys coming in. Your Alex January is this type of dude, and you have Savea, the transfer coming in. I was asking because I was just talking to somebody today. I'm like, man, is the biggest concern the secondary or is it the defensive line? This dude was like, man, I'm more worried about them getting run on. And I guess I can understand that. I just don't worry about it so much whenever that Texas has like an Anthony Hill. It feels like it's going to be Anthony Hill and David Benda at the two linebackers. It feels like, Barron Sorrell and Ethan Burke, if they do move to that strong side defensive end, those dudes sort of can fold in sometimes, right? They can get thick on the outside, and whenever they come thick, which is lining up, like to the head up on the tackle, they can help, right? As far as stopping the run and stuff like that. If they do elect to go that way to be able to make more room on the other side for the Colin Simmons, for the Trey Moore, for all that kind of stuff, which I do think that they're going to do. I'm getting more and more indications that that's going to be the case. And when you look at the back end, so Keaton Crawford's gone. Man, if we just look at that same sheet, I won't pull it back up and put Chad through the ringer again. But Keaton Crawford on that sheet generated production once every 27.68 snaps. He was in the 160th place out of 165, right? It took me a long time to where I finally saw Jaron Thompson he was in 88th place out of 165, just very much middle of the road. At least, you have coming back a guy like Makuba, who's not going to, he's coming to Texas to play. We're talking about a 3-year starter at Clemson. He's not coming to Texas not to play. Derek Williams, he was at least in 68th place last year, right? He's Texas best safety on a snaps per production caused number but only if you take out interceptions, because actually Michael Taft with the interceptions is actually up above him, 8.19 snaps per production caused. I'm not sure how sustainable or replicatable that is, but you can't just take those away from him. We're talking about 8.19 snaps per production caused versus 9.96 for production caused for Derek Williams. I don't think anybody's going to be out here talking about Derek Williams being a dude who's not much primed for a much bigger kind of role and a bigger evolution of his God-given skill set than a guy like Michael Taft, who's just been a good Johnny on the spot, good player, right? And he'll continue to be. This is not shade against Taft. I think Taft should be the third guy, right? We'll see what Xavier Filsaime has to say about it, but like it's like that's that. With the corners, you have Manny Muhammad, who actually, last year the snaps per production wasn't really that good, but here's the important thing about Manny Muhammad is that the deep dig in the snaps per production, it tries to really take into account the fact that if these guys don't get thrown at quite as much, it gives them the lockdown bonus awards, right? Because if they're thrown at a lot, they get more opportunities for PBUs, they get more opportunities for tackles, they get all the rest of it, right? And so there's a prorated 3 points of production that you get that gets taken away and chipped off at on an amortized schedule based on how many times that you're thrown at and the completions that are allowed. And you can get extra bonus points on the lockdown stuff if you're thrown at, via the multiplier to where it gets put on top of the 3 points, right? And I feel like Manny Muhammad is one of these dudes who even that stuff's not helping him quite as much because, man, I look at him and the thing that stands out to me the most about Manny Muhammad, comparing him to the other guys, is the snaps per coverage burn. Okay, so just compare him to the two guys that played the most last year. And the two guys that he falls in the pocket with as far as snaps per production. Manny Muhammad's at 12.75 snaps per production. Ryan Watts at 11.92. And Terrence Brooks at 14.19. Okay. Gavin Holmes is all the way up at like 19. So but as far as those three guys, Manny Muhammad was allowed a coverage burn once every 362 snaps. So he allowed one coverage burn last year, Manny Muhammad. And I think you remember which one that was. Ryan Watts allowed a coverage burn once every 74.6 snaps. Terrence Brooks allowed a coverage burn once every 81.83 snaps. So Watts was the worst with it. He needs to play safety anyway. I heard he's playing like 218 pounds last year. Like he's playing safety at the Shrine Bowl. That's how the NFL season. That's how Jim Nagy saw him when he's been here on the show, right? It's like, we talked about it. But Manny Muhammad got better and better throughout the year, right? That was kind of the deal with him. Thrown out 26 times. He allowed the 19 completions, but coming into the final 2 games of the year, so the bowl game and the other one, he was actually really good outside of like two plays that you can count. And he was starting over Watts. He's just better, right? So that should be improved. Now, what happens on the other side, if it's Terrence Brooks or maybe one of these other guys comes in, it's like, I don't know. The only other one besides Gavin Holmes who played last year was Warren Robertson, played 2 snaps at outside corner. But they have other guys coming in. Xavier Bryce is going to leave. It's a concern. The back end's a concern, though. It's like it's the situation there is still open. I think at that field corner, that corner that takes the bigger, wider side of the field. The thing that helps me out with that, though, a little bit, that makes me get to the final end of this analysis is that we have to consider Jahdae Barron as part of the secondary, and he's an 8.74 snaps per production caused guy. He doesn't get burned. One coverage burn every 248 snaps, only allowing a 45.95% completion percentage. Thrown at 37 times last year. He allowed 15 completions. He had 7 pass breakups, 1 interception, and 1 blow up. That's really good. I'm not sure that there's that many. I know that, like, if you look at what Texas has on the interior defensive line, there's just not that many things you could point to where it says, well, at least there's this with Makuba. At least there's this with Derek Williams. At least there's this with Jahdae Barron. At least there's this with Manny Muhammad. Is there a question about the field corner? Yes, right? I have questions about a lot of these dudes on the interior defensive line, even though I think that the outsides are going to be stronger. And Anthony Hill, of course, is going to be strong like bull. So I think that the biggest concern for the Longhorns heading into 2024 remains the interior defensive line. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Thanks to everybody for giving the show a like, for subscribing to the channel. Thanks to Chad, all right, for doing the production here. Thanks to the creative team at Orange Bloods for getting up these awesome thumbnails, man, and a bunch of cool stuff that we have planned coming up as we continue rolling these things out. Oh, also, I did the combine credentials today. As soon as I get the schedule for that, we're going to work out the scheduling for the combine and seeing how we can get these broadcasts done there from live in Indy. Of course, I'll be with your guy, the big dog. You see him in chat, Mr. Cody Carpentier. So stay tuned for that. Again, please like the show, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions for me, email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. So for Cody, for Chad, for Texas Beef Traders, for Val Garcia, I'm Alex.